Welcome to Unfrazzle, a podcast for solo business owners with a big vision who are ready for a kinder, more sustainable approach to productivity. I'm Louise Miller, and each week I share bite-sized insights to help you step away from the hustle, stop faffing and stay focused so you can make your brilliant ideas happen and make a bigger impact in the world. Before we dive into today's episode, if you enjoy what I'm sharing here on Unfrazzle and you'd like to support the podcast, you can buy me a cuppa by going to buymeacoffee.com/Louise Miller and making a one-off donation. I'll pop a link to that in the show notes. Okay, grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. The first time I heard someone use the phrase underdoing it was in the early days of Make It Happen Club. At the end of our monthly momentum planning sessions, members are invited to share their intention for the month ahead if they would like to. And as part of these few moments of sharing, people often provide a little bit of context around what's been happening for them and what they want moving forward. And on this particular day, one of our members told us that she'd been underdoing it for a while and was now ready to step up and into a more energised season of activity. And I hadn't heard that phrase used in that way before, and it really stuck with me. Underdoing it. The opposite of overdoing it. So we're all familiar with the concept of overdoing it, aren't we? It's something we're often warned against as it can lead to stress, exhaustion, and a real lack of balance and harmony in our lives. And in my work, supporting ambitious, busy business owners who have a lot they want to achieve and want to have it all done by yesterday, my radar is always up for clients who might be overdoing it and at risk of burning out. And it's why I'm so big on the idea of being intentional and slowing down. But it actually is possible to lean too far the other way, to be so scared of overdoing it that we overcorrect and end up underdoing it, letting ourselves off the hook, doing only the things that feel comfortable, easy and fun, and as a result, stalling our growth and our progress. That's not to say that underdoing it is always a bad thing. Sometimes it can be an intentional choice. For example, I was purposely underdoing it back in January, knowing that I wanted a slow and steady start to my year. But sometimes we don't realise we're doing it. Sometimes that underdoing it is born out of fear. And I've had many conversations with people who've experienced burnout before in their lives and who are so worried about landing back in that place that they don't stretch themselves. They're trying to protect themselves, usually subconsciously. And so without realising it, they might get stuck in this pattern of underdoing it. And that can be fine. If you're content with the life and the business that you have right now and you just want things to continue as they are, that can be fine. But if you want more, if you want to grow both personally and professionally, if you want to reach more people, make a bigger impact, make more money, experience more joy, underdoing it probably won't get you there. So what's the answer? Is it even possible to find the perfect balance where you're not overdoing it or underdoing it, but have somehow found this perfect amount of both effort and ease? Perhaps it is. And that's certainly something that we can aim for as we kind of continue on this journey of finding a pace and a rhythm that works and feels good for us, whilst also getting us to where we want to go. But maybe there's another option that is, I think, more forgiving, more flexible and more realistic. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, it won't surprise you to learn that this option is all about curiosity, experimentation and awareness. So last year, one of my one-to-one clients was doing a lot in the first few months of the year. She was organising a huge international summit, recording and launching a new podcast, beta testing a new program, all whilst keeping up with her business as usual activities. And there were many moments during those first few months of the year that she had to overdo it. If she hadn't, then those things wouldn't have happened. And she was absolutely determined that those things were going to happen in that first part of last year. But obviously that level of activity and effort isn't sustainable in the long term. So together we made sure that she had space to underdo it once that busy period had passed. You see, overdoing it and underdoing it aren't necessarily bad. They only become problematic if we stay stuck in either extreme for too long, and if we ignore the signs that it might be time for the pendulum to swing the other way. And I know that's been true for me. In my pursuit of a simple life, I'm more likely to get stuck in underdoing it mode than in overdoing it mode. And I can definitely feel it when I've spent too much time in that place of not doing very much. I start to feel listless and without purpose, and I start to notice it in my business too, right? My audience growth stalls, or I'm struggling to come up with ideas for content. And when I notice that happening, I take it as my cue to ramp things up a bit, to allow the pendulum to swing not all the way into overdoing it, but a little more in that direction. I know in those moments I need to relocate my oomph and challenge myself to take some uncomfortable action and pick up the pace a little bit. And of course, this wouldn't be an episode of Unfrazzle if I didn't also point out that noticing where you are on that continuum becomes so much easier when you take a pause. When you're in the habit of stepping out of your business and reflecting on how things are going, you are way more likely to spot whether you're under or overdoing it, which means you'll catch yourself more quickly if you're at risk of staying in one of those two extremes for too long. When you take a pause, you get to notice, right? If you've been underdoing it for a while, you might need to ramp things up a bit to re-energize yourself, your life and your business. You might want to challenge yourself to do the thing anyway, even if you're not feeling like it. And if you've been overdoing it, you might need to take your foot off the gas, allow yourself to rest, keeping on top of the things that matter the most, whilst being okay to let go of everything else for a while. So how is this landing for you? Are you in a season of underdoing it or overdoing it right now? And is that an intentional choice, or have you found yourself there by accident? And maybe you've only just realised that that's what's happening, listening to me share this with you today. So either way, I invite you to give it some thought and consider how you can make sure you are not stuck in either extreme, that you can kind of keep the pendulum swinging between both in a way that allows you to grow and to make progress whilst also taking care of yourself along the way. So as always, I hope that this helps, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for listening to Unfrazzle. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who needs a dose of calm productivity in their life. And I'd love it if you could leave me a rating and a review, as that will help more people discover this podcast. If you'd like to hear more from me to help you stop faffing and take back control of your time, you'll find a link to join my mailing list in the show notes, and I would really love for you to join us. So thanks so much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you next time.